What is going on YouTube? Today we are going to talk about two baits that you need to be using come winter bass fishing. So to start the video off, we're going to talk about a technique they call mid-strolling. Now mid-strolling is a fairly new, fairly uncommon technique that involves a straight tail minnow, usually, and a ball head jig. Basically what I've got here is a Queen's Tackle rollin' strolling jig head in 3/16 ounce, paired with a 5-inch Sakamata shad. Now I know 5 inches sounds like a lot. It is a lot, you know what I mean? It's plenty. 5 inches is plenty of rubber, elastic, whatever you want to call it. Now, a lot of you guys are probably sitting there thinking, nah, that's a summer bait. No, that's an early to mid-fall bait. It is all of those things, but you can absolutely slaughter some bass in the wintertime months with this bait. No, in all seriousness, a 5-inch bait is plenty small in these late fall to early winter months. A lot of times these bass aren't looking for an array of small bait fish. They're usually on the hunt for that bigger bait fish or those schools of bigger bait fish. So a 5-inch Sakamata shad or a much cheaper version, 4 1/4 inch Crush City freeloader. I say cheaper, but this is absolutely no, there's a little bit difference in performance, obviously. This one has a little bit different roll than the winged Sakamata shad does. The Sakamata shad, you're obviously going to get a lot of that tail action. And with this Queen's Tackle jig head, I'm not affiliated with them at all, but with this Queen's Tackle jig head, you get a lot of that roll. I mean, it's pretty extreme too with this thing. And I don't know what it is that rolling action really just kills the smallmouth, kills the largemouth. So I haven't noticed if the freeloader rolls extremely as a Sakamata shad, but I know that I've casted the Sakamata shad and the freeloader out about equal amounts of time, and I can't really say which one gets bit more. I think they both get bit equally as good. I think the Crush City freeloader is a way cheaper version to do the same thing, really. I think the Crush City freeloaders are a little better value, and they're a more durable plastic. A lot of times in the colder winter months, you're gonna want a plastic that's a little harder anyways, because that plastic has a little bit less action. And when these fish are lethargic as they are in the wintertime, and they're not really looking to chase these crackhead bait fish, they want something that looks like a simple, easy, not hard to get meal. So for the mid-strolling technique, I am using my Trika 6X spinning rod. It's a 7'6" medium power, fast tip. I have a lot of faith in these Trika spinning rods. I think that Trika is one of the sole reasons that I caught that 6'11" smallmouth, and obviously putting my bait in the right spot at the right time. But with how disrespectfully I was horsing that fish into my boat, I had no business catching him on 10-pound fluorocarbon and 10-pound braid. I really think that fast tip and that medium power gave me enough backbone that I needed, but that tip really gave me a lot of forgiveness. It didn't put too much tension on that line, it didn't put too much tension on my knot, and it didn't bend those hooks out. If I had any stiffer of a tip, I really think those tiny little blade bait hooks probably would have bent out. The 6X is gonna be 100% carbon rod blank all the way down into the reel seat. It has titanium framing for the handle, super good quality rod, super lightweight, 4.2 ounces, one of the lightest rods I've ever held. Everybody who fishes with me picks them up and can't believe how unbelievably light they are. They are super sensitive. The 6X is gonna have the echo chamber. It basically acts like a guitar chamber. Any vibration you get in the tip of the rod transfers down to this handle, and you feel those super, super subtle bites. I'm gonna cast out, I'm gonna leave my bail open. That is one of the things I see so many people do is they cast out and they immediately close their bail. It's not wrong, but now instead of that bait being able to fall straight and true, it's gonna pendulum back to you. You're losing lineage on your cast, and now it's gonna take even a little bit longer for that bait to get to the bottom. So I like to cast out, leave my bail open, let that line fall straight and true, and then when I see that line starting to pile up back on the surface of the water, I know it's at the bottom. Close my bail, reel up the slack, pick my rod tip up, and you ever so lightly just shake your rod until the tip of that rod's going like this, and you want to retrieve it slowly, and even slower in these cold water winter months. You want to keep it towards the bottom. I wouldn't necessarily say on the bottom, but you want to keep it just above the bottom and just shake that rod tip. And what shaking that rod tip is going to do, it's going to help that bait get that rolling action, and then obviously your tail is going to have a little more sporadic action. But again, in those winter months, you might want to use a little bit stiffer plastic so you don't have as much action. You don't want to look like a crackhead bait fish, so it's going to be hard as hell to catch. So that is pretty much the gist of the mid-strolling technique. Again, lift your rod, shake your rod tip lightly, and you might have to change the cadence depending on if you're finding that shaking it like this much is bringing it too high in the water column, slow your retrieve down. If you're finding that you're getting hung on the bottom a lot, you might have to speed your retrieve up, or just raise your rod tip up a little bit higher. You can kind of change the presentation on how this bait rolls and how it reacts in the water based on whether you're doing like big hops on the tip of your rod or just really short little ones. I prefer to do the really short little ones and then retrieve real slowly. There are times where if you do have forward-facing sonar or whatever, you can stop reeling that bait, and if your rod tip is high enough, you can keep that bait suspended like right in a fish's face if you wanted to, and it'll just sit there and quiver, almost like a hover rig. But this is a little bit different than a hover rig. We'll cover that in another video. So cast this out, leave your bail open, let the bait fall straight and true, lift your rod tip up, start retrieving, start shaking the tip of your rod, and just keep it there all the way back to the boat. And you can fish this all the way back to the boat. I've had them hit it at the boat. And a lot of times you'll see fish do that when they're more active usually, because those fish like to have something to pin that bait fish against. They want to cut it off in one direction so it doesn't have 16 directions it could possibly go. Sometimes when you find those bass hitting baits at your boat, that is showing you that they're actively feeding, one. And two, sometimes they do wait that long to hit it. They will track it that long just because they want to have one less spot that bait fish can go. Now the second bait that we're going to get into is the GoldenEye swimmer head. I've got this on my Trico 3X rod. This I'm going to use more when I'm targeting largemouth or if I know that smallmouth are in a wintering hole. This is a really good search bait, but it's a really patient search bait. End of the day, fish eat fish, and this is a solid sized meal to entice even the biggest or smallest largemouth or smallmouth bass. I've got this on a 7'3" medium heavy power fast action. Medium heavy might be a little bit stout for this swim bait, but I haven't had any problems with it. It's worked good for me so far. I've got it on a 3/8 ounce GoldenEye swim head, actually a 3.8 inch Kitech. In the winter months, I will stop using Kitechs a lot. They're a really soft plastic, has a lot of action. I will go to the Rage Swimmer in the wintertime months. Those Rage Swimmers tend to be a little bit harder plastic, a little bit less action, and you get a lot more fish out of the Rage Swimmers rather than the Kitechs. I will use the Kitechs in summer and early fall to mid-fall, and then I usually switch over to the Rage Swimmers once those water temps start cooling down a lot, and you can tell that those fish are getting more lethargic because you're not getting as many bites. I've been having the most success with this on the absolute bottom of the water column, dragging it along bottom, retrieving super slow. I keep that rod tip down, keep the bait down. And again, when I'm casting this, I keep my bail open. I want that bait to fall straight and true. And then once I see my line start piling up on the surface, click my bail closed obviously, get the slack out, and I kind of pull a little bit, almost like it would be like a football jig or something. I pull a little bit, see if I can feel bottom. If not, I know I messed up somewhere, and I know that I'm not truly on the bottom yet, so I'll open my bail back out, peel a little bit of line off the spool, and wait a couple more seconds. Then again, I do my whole dragging along the bottom, see if I can feel that bottom, and then I'll slowly start retrieving it. I'm talking like maybe a rotation a second, maybe. I really like that scooped chin on the GoldenEye. It comes in and out of cover very well, a lot better than some other brands. Not affiliated with Outcast, I just really like this design. Comes over rocks, comes over wood. Again, normally in these colder winter months, I would have a Rage Swimmer on there. A little bit harder plastic, a little tougher. It's gonna last you more fish, but it also presents a little bit less action, a little less sporadic for those lethargic bass. So those are the setups, guys. We got the mid-stroll, winter months, keep it down a little bit lower in the water column, and we've got the big swim bait. Those are my two baits that I really like in the wintertime months. Obviously, you go with your blade bait, you're gonna have success. A tube jig, you're gonna have success. Big football jig, you're gonna have success. These are just two that I don't see talked about very often, especially in the winter months, but I do have a lot of success with them. So those are the two baits I thought I would cover. If you guys want to check out Trico rods, I've got a link in my description. If you use that link, it helps me out a little bit, and I would greatly appreciate it. And let me remind you, I was advertising these Trico rods before I had any affiliation with them. You can go back in my videos and watch them if you want to. That's how you know that I truly believe in these Trico rods. I'm not a salesman. I'm not a bullshitter. I truly believe that these Striker rods give you the same quality that you would get out of much more expensive rods. And these are on sale on the website right now, 20% off. 6X is $279 and the 3X I believe is $249. Go check them out, hit that link in my description, and go get you some. I want to thank you guys for watching. If you'd like a tutorial or a more in-depth explanation of these baits, just let me know and I can try to get another video up for you guys. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments. I will reply. And if you like the content, don't forget to hit that subscribe. Don't forget to hit that like, and we will see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.